You're listening to the In the Mix podcast with Marvin Joles. Here's your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Mix. If you didn't skip over any of the ads to get to this point, or you've listened before to get to this point, you probably listened to our ad for Moasure. Well, I'm really excited because I kind of get to bring you guys full picture today as you've seen me create content off and on. And a lot of you have been DMing me or asking me about Moasure. Hey, how do I try to the device? How do I check stuff out? And I've been sending you back information with our link as well of how to check it out. But we're getting information. I don't know if you all have this term across the pond. We use it here, but it's straight from the horse's mouth. Do you guys have that term?
Yeah, we have it beautifully put. Poetry in motion.
Came from there because I think all of us kind of came from across the pond, anyways, over here in America at some point. But today,
skipped over the waves and ended up in your part of the world for sure.
On a jet ski. We have Barry Fitzgerald here today, Jamie Armfield. I've been fortunate enough to communicate with these gentlemen off and on as I've been taking on my Moasure journey, I would say, and adapting it. So, as I said, I've been using Moasure now at Wiscoat and Asphalt for the last year, and it's really been a tremendous addition to our quotes that we send to our clients. And it's also just been super helpful overall for us. And we're going to get into why that has helped us in the seal coating part of what we do and the hot mix asphalt paving as well. So it does some really cool stuff that I'm really excited for you guys to find out. So I want to introduce Barry first. Barry, will you introduce yourself and tell us just where you're at? Tell us a little bit about your journey. You were talking about San Francisco a little bit before we got on the air. Tell us how you get to this point.
I talk too much. That's probably why I told you about that. Sorry, Marvin. Thanks for having me. And I guess, I don't know what time it is in your part of the world, but maybe good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or somewhere in between. It's really good to have you. We're in the afternoon over here. So yeah, I'm Barry. Work at Moasure, work in content creation. But I grew up and worked in Ireland, Europe, UK, and the USA growing up in farmland and in construction. So you would have found me with my, boots in concrete or hands in dirt or sawdust in my hair. I would have been working in trenches knee deep in the mud, loving it, or dangling off a rooftop, maybe some kind of cut price stunt guy, working with all sorts of different tools, machinery, bobcats, backhoes, skid steers, what have you, measurement equipment. But I have to say, I've never come across a tool such as Moasure. But I've spent many a happy day when I was in my teens, 16s through to my early 20s working in San Francisco, which is, I think, what I was telling you about as well. So, yeah, I've a great affinity for your part of the world. I've even been using Moasure in your part of the world as well, as it happens, Marvin.
Oh, really?
You've got a place there in Nashville that is like a home from home for me. Last year alone, I was there 3 times.
Sure.
And every 10 paces I would go, there'd be some guy or woman singing their heart out about love, lost, tractors, whatever. That they might as well have been singing on the streets back home in Ireland.
Music, love, lost, and tractors are the same things in country.
Oh man, yeah. So I felt these guys are speaking Irish. They're speaking my language, so I felt right at home there. And I was using this device in amongst all of that, in amongst all the music, in amongst all of that rhythm. This thing was just flowing.
Yeah.
Measuring up your car lots, measuring by the banks of the River Cumbernauld, I believe you have there. We even measured the Grand Ole Opry and everything else in between as well. We met guys from the asphalt industry, the fencing industry, architects, engineers, construction. We had a great whole time, and we found good Guinness as well.
Quite a melting pot.
The best Guinness in America we found in Nashville.
Good.
After the podcast, I can tell you all about it.
Always seem to find an Irish bar, no matter where you are, Barry. It's brilliant.
Well, I don't know. It's like it's built into it as part of our DNA. This radar system. And it wasn't just Guinness. That you also had this thing called Five Farms. I'm not sponsored to say this or anything, but it's like an Irish fine liqueur. And like Bailey's, but they had Five Farms, which is rare indeed. So
Bailey's, a fine liquor like Bailey's.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's
I can
because I
see you
think,
salivating there.
oh, yeah, for sure. Well, it's really cold here, so Bailey's and a hot chocolate is a way to go. They
Warm
need
you up. Yeah,
downtown.
it'll warm you up like there's an angel putting the cloak or an embrace around you. That's what that kind of Irish spirit will do to you.
Yeah, I hear legend that it came down with manna from heaven. Just a bottle of Bailey's landed right on there. Yep.
That's it. It's like sugar to your eyes and honey to your mouth.
Well, we have a
Walking
huge
the
melting pot here in Nashville, so it's not surprising that you found an Irish bar. It's also not surprising that you hear music from this type of place, that type of place, and whatnot. But you used a verb that's new to me this year. I think actually Webster's dictionary put it in there. It's called Moasuring, which means we're going to use the device, walk around, measure some stuff up just for fun. And I've been doing the same thing, which is really unique for me. I've started using it in Wisconsin when we were there doing our work, and it would be on farm lanes or small parking areas or whatever. But then when I would get down here and we would have work in the Nashville area, I would find myself between the skyscrapers, right? Measuring everything around small lots, figuring out if we're going to remove asphalt, put asphalt down, checking the grade. Where is it going to be? Where is it not going to be? How much of a pitch or fall, or where we're going to divert water if we're going to quote this thing and actually pave it at some point. But I had a really cool conversation with Jamie here, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. And we were also talking about finding volume in piles of like recycled asphalt in Texas. So Jamie, you introduce yourself as well. And you did an American tour this last year. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Moasure and then how it was here.
Yeah, cheers, Marvin. Yeah, so Jamie, marketing, working marketing over here at Moasure. So my background is certainly a more hands-off than Barry has been. I've always been the guy in the office. He's been out in the field. I've been back in the office, keeping my hands clean. That's for sure.
I think that means you're well behaved and causing trouble. But
Probably, yeah, sorting out the mess that you. No, I'm joking. But
and I'm grateful for this.
So yeah, definitely more hands-off, but always been in marketing. But that's what I love doing, creating that bridge between a product that we've created, a piece of technology, and how that can help people out in the field, bridging that gap and making that work for people, finding that information out. And that's what we were doing over in America just now. My experience again in America is, that was one of my first times over there. Been to Disney World when I was a kid in Florida. That was my first experience 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, the rest of America is just like that.
That's what I was thinking. I thought the whole of America can't be like this, surely. It must be.
You'd fit right in, Jamie. A bit of an animated cartoon character yourself.
Dressed up like mice, and it's what's going on here. That was my first experience. And then, yeah, we went back over earlier this year for a couple of things. So firstly, over back in March, which Marvin, I believe you were at as well, World of Asphalt.
Yeah.
That was my first experience in St. Louis. So really getting in touch with people out in the field, asphalt guys, right? My first experience. Again, like I said, my job here is to bridge the gap between what we've created and the people out in the field. So speaking to them, the amount of information that you get just from speaking to these guys like yourself.
You learn so much, don't you?
It's invaluable. It's completely invaluable.
Real world, real people.
Real world. And so that was the first thing, but obviously that was in a big convention center. There's only so much you can learn. So we arranged another trip a couple of weeks ago. We headed out to Texas, or up in Dallas, Texas, and also California. So we just hopped into Los Angeles and then up to San Francisco. So seems to be a recurring theme here.
You really know what America looks like now.
I know. I've had
St. Louis to Dallas to San Francisco.
Floridians, Texans, Californians.
You found out it's not all Disney World, right?
Yes, completely different.
I thought you all wear big hats, big buckles, and big belts, that kind of a thing.
They do in Texas, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just speaking to multiple different guys, everything from your contractors who are laying down the asphalt to some civil construction companies who were, suited and booted, shirts, ties, but knew that they needed to implement the device or any money saving or time saving tool into their business. And hearing from contractors all the way up to the VPs of civil construction companies and everything in between, it was just so valuable. It was brilliant and a great experience for us, and working out where we can bring that value to them.
Yeah, what a crazy thing, right? You guys at Moasure are, in my mind, especially in the asphalt industry, in the construction industry too, we're kind of right at the starting line of technology being adapted in a major way in the construction industry. So for me, in the asphalt industry, I've always figured we're kind of behind because it's archaically, we're putting oil sand and rocks into something, heating it up, mixing it up, and then mashing it down. And that seems pretty non-technical once you know kind of how to do it. And there's a lot of hand tools involved in these types of things. But I've been a technology junkie for anything that would come into our industry because it's just so exciting compared to the hand tools. I don't mind the calluses that I got. I have a lot of them, but it's not like my brain is satisfied. My brain's like, hey, how does this work? How do we get going? So I first came in touch with Moasure actually at Equip Expo previously. And my son Eli came up and he's like, Dad, there's this awesome thing. You got to check this out. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. He's like, no, I'm serious. You need to come over here. You need to check this out. And we go over there, and I'm slow to adapt to technology myself, being from the asphalt industry. And I grasped it, but I didn't understand the sheer benefit that I was going to get from it. I'm like, well, I get it, but I can, my measuring wheel does that. That's my fallback. And I feel like in our asphalt industry, we have this mindset if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we've made it this far with things that's worked, right? But the last year and a half or so, I started seeing Moasure, and actually Barry started seeing yourself more in that content creation role show up on
I hope I didn't put you off.
No, you all right, we'll say
Be honest.
I am going to be honest, but it's a term that in America means something else, but you turned me on, Barry. You turned
my leg. I'm so happy to be a part of that. I mean, your face just lit up. So that's a good
Thank
thing.
God, that's all that lit up is all I can tell you.
Yeah.
But I started grasping a concept when I seen that a file would come to me, because I've always wanted to separate myself from my competition in my asphalt businesses. And I've done that on social media because not a lot of owner operators do that. We went digital before a lot of people, so we stopped writing paper paper quotes and stuff and having to deliver them. But when I seen that I could not only benefit by having the exact or close to exact square footage, I wouldn't have to figure out deep math for all my angles, my curvature, remove round center islands that I would have to measure radii to get my real square footage. Then I was like, well, I can explain this to the client that they're actually getting the measured area when a contractor gives them the quote. And I started to notice that if I did this, my square footage would be different than most of my competitors. And that's because I was getting a measurement that was different than what I was trying to measure with my measuring wheel, doing squares and whatnot. The last vital thing was, and I just thought this was cool, I got to see the grade of the area and the pitch and the way things move. And I knew exactly how high, without going out and holding a level and doing things and shooting a laser level or an eye level. I knew how far down things were, where things moved, how much the pitch was this way or that way, just by using Moasure. And it changed things for me to where all of a sudden I started to get curious. And I believe I started following Jamie's posts a little bit on LinkedIn and was like, I kind of want to know what this is about a little bit. And we're kind of, the asphalt industry is weird. I think you guys probably have realized this. In the South, they work asphalt all the time, and it's not really in a huge hurry. In the North, we only have so much time before the snow comes, so we're working really fast. So if your business is in the North, you usually don't adapt to something new until the off season, until you've had a chance to get all the horses back in the stable, go in, sit down, and look where the dust settled. In the South, you kind of got to pick at it a little bit and keep trying it, and then you might adapt to it. I was under the impression that I was going to, over the winter months, check out Moasure, but it didn't really happen. Jamie was like, hey, check this out. And then we connected somehow, and he was like, well, I'm going to pass your name along and we'll start talking. When you're investing in asphalt equipment, trust matters. KM International designs and builds seal coat units, infrared heaters, asphalt hot boxes, and other asphalt maintenance equipment for contractors, municipalities, and professionals across the industry. We run KM seal coat units because they're built tough, they perform in the field, and we trust the people behind the brand. Another big reason we stand behind KM, their equipment is made right here in the USA. Their mission says it best: innovative asphalt maintenance solutions. To learn more, visit kminternational.com, call 810-688-1234, or email sales@kminternational.com. you know, those feelings that you get sometimes where you're like, where has this been all my life? That's kind of the feeling that I started to get. And I noticed that I pulled out the measuring wheel less and started, you guys were telling me that people say in America, the device itself is called the puck, right? Yeah. We're like, hey, well, you know, but I found myself sliding the puck into the measuring stick and moving along. And through some great coaching, Simon was like, hey, we're going to hold this a little more vertical. We're going to move a little smoother. This is the measurements we're going to use. I started to get really proud of the measurements, which is a feeling that I had never had before. So can you, hopefully I explained Moasure somewhat decently there, but if you could explain it in simple terms, either of you, what is Moasure?
I think you've described it so well. It measures by simply moving. And by the time you stop in real time and instantaneously, you have the distances, you have the elevations, you have the contours, you have the angles, you have a 3D terrain map, all with one walk, one pass through. Interesting what you said about people that will see Moasure for the first time. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you see something for the first time and you go, man, why haven't I been doing it that way all along? That's exactly the reaction that we get when we go to trade shows. And Jamie and I have been out in Texas, as we've mentioned. Like, I've been in Texas for about 2 weeks this year, going meeting people in the asphalt industry, the construction industry, pool builders, deck builders, and everything in between. And some of them are still using, you know, like traditional measuring methods, like tape measures as long as garden hoses, sketches, soggy sketches on clipboards. Dimensions are lost to the wind. And we're there thinking, man, this could save you so much more time and effort. I mean, these are like, they know their craft. They're experts in their arena. But sometimes the problem is that they don't always have access to the most efficient tools. I mean, can they build what they need to build with traditional methods? Of course they can, but could they save so much more time, energy, and manpower? They can with this.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like measuring, it used to be a slow and steady battle. You know, string lines stretched tight. The men and women of the trade, you know, whether they be in asphalt or construction or whatever, they're working with tools that require precision and patience, and unfortunately a lot more time than they can afford. Whereas when you get this device, jobs that would take hours are done in minutes.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's a recurring theme. I kept seeing it time and time again. And where we sit in as a measuring tool is quite unique, right? Because you've got your wheel, fantastic for linear distances. You know, it's fast, it gets what you need.
Right tool for the right job.
Right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
And you've got total stations and things like this, where you think sometimes you do need a full survey, you need to get every last millimeter perfect. But
I don't want to be paying to do a quote for something that costs more than my pickup.
So we sit right in that middle ground where we are still accurate, but we are fast.
Yeah.
You can get your measurements really quick. And the best part of the recurring thing that I kept seeing was, and you mentioned it as well, Marvin, what you get after you've done your measurement is the full drawing that you can export. And you can send it to your client, you can send it back to the office, and it's done. You do the measurement and it's done. There's no more to do. There's no writing on a piece of paper. There's no sending it back to start drawing things up and trying to remember which line was which and which angle. It's all done, and that's the beauty of it.
I measured a paving job, and thankfully it was after I had ran into Simon this year, right? And I'd got Simon's personal info because I was like, hey, at any moment, I'm going to call you probably. And if it's at night and you're overseas, I'm really sorry. But I'm going to try to reach out to you about some things. And this was the first time that I realized it took multiple roles. Like, it covered multiple roles in an estimating process. I started measuring this project out, and I realized that I was estimating. And then it started to find the grade, and it was really a weird project. It had a downhill slope, but then the turnaround went uphill and then downhill and met the driveway at the bottom. So it kind of looked like a teardrop, but one side of it was really high. And the question was, can we pave that? And I would have had to then become a grade shooter, right? To figure out what exactly is the grade that our Weiler paver can go on, and can we do it at that grade? And should we? Are they going to cut this whole side of the hill out and be able to put gravel, and that's it? They're not going to be able to put asphalt. So I realized I was doing multiple roles there. And then in the middle of that turnaround is an area where there's not going to be asphalt. So I measured the outside, and then I was like, shoot, I'm going to have to cut across the middle and do a stop. I'm going to have to redo this whole thing. So I did it I Moasured, there you go, fellas, in a way that worked, but I made it harder on myself than I needed to. All I needed to really do, rather than measure the whole outside, stop, jump across to that middle section, cut it out, and then go back to where I jumped across and finish out the whole measurement so that the inside piece wasn't included. Once I was done, I called Barry. I was like, there has to be a way to do this. And he's like, Marvin, that's already in there. It's called layers. He's like, you just measure and pull that layer out. And so then I was like, oh, well, then when the rendering got brought up, I was like, well, I almost engineered this thing, right? Of how this is supposed to look, what it's going to do. So there was another role gone. And then I took the file and I became the quoting, to a quoter, a job quoter. And I sent that thing over. So there were 3 or 4 roles there that could have got taken care of. 2 of those things, shooting grade, I've never done it all that much, right? I've been able to find it a little bit when I used to hang eaves troughs or gutters on buildings and we would get the pitch going down, but never on that scale. And Moasure did that for me without me having to do anything. And then removing the layer and figuring out, well, we're going to need to shave. I think we ended up taking 1 foot out of the top and then filtering it down so that our paper could hit. I engineered that. So then I became an engineer, even though I didn't really do anything. Moasure took care of that for me. So it was this thing where Moasure had taken over multiple traditional tools and roles that those tools would go into for people just in this one measurement. So when it comes to motion-based measurement, it was outperforming wheels, GPSs, or whatever. And then pieces of information beyond that, right? Moasure kind of starts to feel like, well, Moasure sounds like measure, but it's doing way, way, way more than measuring. And then I had an epiphany a while back. All right, guys, let's talk about something that makes a real difference before the job even starts. Prep work. It's the most important thing, and we all know it. The bend sink rotary broom is built with high tensile strength steel bristles, and this thing flat out works. It preps areas for seal coating and striping, helps clean up crankcase oil spills, and easily converts into crack cleaning mode. And here's the deal. It cleans where traditional sweepers can't. It makes moss removal easy, and this is one of those tools that once you have it, you can't go without it. There are 2 models available, the hydraulic broom, which is the most popular and spins both directions, and the mechanical version that spins one direction. One customer put it best, we've been cleaning parking lots for 23 years. We can't live without the bend sink. If you're serious about doing the job right from the start, this is one worth checking out. Head over to bendsinkrotarybroom.com to learn more, and they've even got financing options available right there on the website. That's the bend sink rotary broom. Built for guys doing the real work. And then I had an epiphany, and then I want to get to another question, but I mentioned it to you, Jamie. I could tell me how much volume is in this area. So then I was like, and I messaged Jamie. I was like, hey, you were just in Texas. Were there piles of recycled asphalt? I was like, I'm pretty sure you could Moasure that pile and know how much material is there.
It's brilliant. Stockpile. So that's our volume feature. It was a new free feature that we released to everybody, Moasure 1 and 2 users a couple of years ago, and skyrocketed. It's been our biggest success, 100% feature wise. So yeah, stockpiles, right? You need to know about the measurement. You can get a drone up. Sometimes there's drone scans and things like this that you can do, but if it's windy, if it's raining, there's no use. Moasure, we have a concept called points. So you can take your perimeter and you can add additional points up a stockpile, and straight away, instantly on the screen, bam. Whatever the volume of that area is, it's instantly on your screen.
So I know how many square yards I have left of recycled asphalt in my pile, or cold mix asphalt,
and it's quick. It's fast, right? It's so fast and easy to do.
You just skirt around the perimeter of that stockpile, skip over the top, and within moments you've got like the total volume cut and fill. What's interesting is that you say is that Moasure's never had a subscription, and it doesn't have a subscription. People often ask us that question.
Mm-hmm.
When we brought this feature, cut and fill and volume calculations, the ability to do a 3D terrain topography, we were bringing features that you would find a more expensive, more advanced measuring technology and putting it into the palm of your hand and giving that away for free to existing users and new users, customers that would come on board. a lot of people have, like, they call it the rock and roll feature is what I hear when I go to meet these guys.
Yeah. So let's dive into that a little bit. When you go to meet people and like if you came to me and I had been using Moasure, I'd be like, oh, it's awesome. But I feel like I still have only probably used 20% of it or 25% of what the capabilities are. And I'm still like, now I'm like, I prefer to use it over anything else just because of how awesome it's been for our quoting process. But if you weren't coming to me and you were, let's say you're at the trade show and somebody comes across the Moasure booth that had never been there before, what are some misconceptions that contractors have about Moasure right away?
They think that because you can move and it measures and draws in real time, not just distances and angles and elevations and does a 3D terrain map, they think that this works using GPS, but GPS could fall off the face of the earth and this thing will still move. I've used this down 9 levels below at Hoover Dam and it doesn't miss a beat. I've used it in the tunnels under Niagara Falls. Like one day you could use this to map out a tricky garden and the next day it could be somewhere completely unexpected, like the inside of a cave. When I was in Houston this year, I met a guy called George Souza. In fact, his name was Bubba. That's what they call him. I thought, Bubba Souza, like, wow. He'd big hat, big boots, big buckles, everything looked the part. Bubba Souza. And I thought, I don't know what you are. Are you like, are you a barbecue sauce or a country song or something like that? The guy was amazing. But he brought us to this job site where he just got Moasure. And the boundaries were irregular. The terrain was rough and mean. There was obstacles all over the place. It was strewn with machinery and plant and materials. You couldn't get to the boundaries, and the boundaries were like weaving in and out. The terrain, if you were to use a wheel, that wheel will be hopping more in the air like a puppy on Sugar Rush than anything else. So you're not really getting an accurate representation. I mean, I've used these tools myself and I don't want to knock them because it's the right tool for the right job. And if that ground is smooth and it's straight, use it. But you can glide over with that. And then you've got brambles and bushes in the way. So if you want to use a laser, be my guest, because God bless your eyesight if you can see that outdoors, but you've no line of sight. So how the blazes do you measure? And not only that, this is like a real life project. And let's be honest, every job site we go to, the coast isn't always clear. It's not plain sailing. There's going to be stuff in the way. You can't be moving stuff just to do a quote or measure. So how can you measure into a space that you can't physically get into? He picked up this, he called it a measuring weapon, and he just walked around the edges. And the place he couldn't get to, he just took marked points. And he continued, and I said, okay, that's fine. And he continued around the whole perimeter.
On his device, on his mobile device.
With this Moasure device, yeah. And by the time he'd finished, a job that used to be tedious and frustrating and frankly would suck the life out of you, using this was the difference between 90 minutes of doing that and minutes. It took him minutes. And he had the total area, the total perimeter, all of the elevations, and the places he couldn't get into. We have features built into Moasure. With one click of a button, you can snap that line straight to the boundary as if you were contorted yourself and got into the space.
Yeah. Simon showed me that, and
It's amazing, isn't it?
It was a booth setup, and they had their screen there, and all their stuff was in the corner. He said, "Watch this," and grabbed it and just shot the corner over there into the back of the booth. And I was like, "No way!" Like,
it's my favorite feature. And my second one would be the fact that when you want to, how do you measure the essence of a curve with a straight measurement?
Now you're going to be talking about my favorite feature.
That's my second favorite. I love that.
Marvin, I know you're going to say TraceLine.
Yeah, tell me, Marvin. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, the TraceLine is my favorite. So the reason is because of the flares that enter driveways and parking lots, and then the curvatures that come out of them. Those are bowed. Like, you could do the Pythagorean theorem, which is a mathematical equation for a squared b squared equals c squared, but I'm still not getting the exact measurement or the close measurement because I'm using a straight line rather than that curved angle or the curved line. And the TraceLine, I literally just click it and follow that thing along, and it follows exactly along. And even if I had an S curve or anything like that, or irregular movements, if they had a rock there and I needed to go around it or something, it picks it up, right? So Why is that
And so
important? You talk a lot about getting the square footage to the client. That's correct. But also, I need to know how much material I need to order from the asphalt plant. And if I don't have this exactly right, that means I'm going to have to lay a load and then, or multiple loads, get near the end, and then have to go out and try to figure again how much I'm going to have to order from the asphalt plant to get here. And I can almost prospect that now exactly or close to it using Moasure so that I know my job costing. And if for a client $100 matters and I'm able to save that $100 on my quote by exactly knowing how much material I'm going to use and my competitor doesn't, I've won. I've won and be able to save my margin at the same price, my profit margin at the same price. So it's been really unique. For the rock, sand, and gravel producers listening, efficiency isn't just about your loaders and your crushers. It's about your data. Bulk Source is the modern operating system that connects the pit to the pavement. Stop running your business on spreadsheets and paper tickets. Bulk Source is an all-in-one cloud platform that handles everything: order management, dispatch, scale ticketing, and invoicing. Give your customers what they actually want: a customer portal where they can view tickets, track orders, and grab invoices in real time, eliminating the game of phone tag. Unlike clunky legacy systems, Bulk Source is cloud native and mobile friendly. It works on any device, iPad, phone, or desktop, and integrates seamlessly with accounting tools like QuickBooks and NetSuite. Streamline your operation, speed up cash flow, and ditch the chaos. Visit bulksource.com to book a demo today. Jamie, when you come out and talk to contractors, what's a misconception right away? Like, if you're like, hey, this is what it does, and they're like, nah, it's not for me because whatever, or, well, it won't do this because of that. What are some familiar misconceptions?
The number one thing every single time that I hear it in the asphalt industry, my guys aren't going to use that. They're not going to use it. It's just, they're happy with it every single time. And I explain to them, Moasure is going to save them time. Who doesn't want to save the time?
Yeah.
It's going to save you money, so get them using it. And actually, it's not as difficult to use as it maybe first seems.
Pick it up and put it in, boom.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a technique involved, but you could spend a bit of time with it, get used to it, see what works, see what doesn't, and it'll get that out there and really work. And coming back to your point just now, what else is there to get these irregular shapes? There is no other tool that you can get these irregular shapes as accurate as we can with
even
things like
I measured, Jamie, I used to use software that would use a satellite image of an area that was already there. And even when I used that, I still had to click points. And I knew that I essentially was doing this all the way rather than a smooth curved feature, right? So my rebuttal to the guys are like, well, my guys aren't going to use that. It's like, well, have them try it one time, because more than likely they're using a technology already. If they use a cell phone, that's harder than Moasure, right? So my son Eli, he's always been quick to adapt to technology when we brought it into our business. And once I showed him how to do it, he was like, let me see that thing. And then we made a competition because Cameron, who's on y'all's team, the first couple times I measured, he was like, Marvin, your accuracy percentage is not low enough. Like, I need you to get better at this. And then it must have been a community effort to bring me along, because Laura would watch my videos, right? And she was like, Marvin, you need to hold the stick a little more vertical. Like, it needs to be a little more vertical. And I made 2 or 3 adjustments. And next thing I know, I seen that percentage go way, way, way down, right? And Simon was trying to brag to me at Equip Expo about his percentage that he brought out, and I was like, I'm hitting that already, Simon. Like,
we've been telling. We want to thank you, by the way. We're really grateful for the tutorial and the training that you given Simon, because he didn't know how to use it before this. And so, and thanks to you, Simon can now do his job. His percentages are really low.
His career is safe. His career doesn't mean. I get it. Yeah.
Can I just say, like, the first Moasure job site that I ever went on about 3 years ago at Moasure, this guy was measuring this driveway that was twisting, winding, and snaking at the foot of the Spring Range Mountains in Las Vegas. Now, not only was the concrete costing a pretty penny, it was the dye that had to go in it was costing 10 times more than the concrete. So if he was out by his usual tolerance, it was going to cost him $10,000. He couldn't order the dye twice because the blend wouldn't work. It had to be once, and he had to over-order it, and it would cost him thousands of dollars. he used Moasure and compared it to a 250,000 pound laser level system.
Mm-hmm.
He got within 1/3 of a cubic yard of accuracy. It saved him thousands of dollars. That was the first job site I ever on Moasure. One job. And one day, and he did it so quick, it saved him on the materials, the time, the fact that he didn't need two people to measure. It was just himself.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember how you used to measure swerves and curves historically? I used to use the grid system, split it all up, and I'd still not be right. I'd have no peace of mind about the accuracy.
I told you I did the Pythagorean theorem, a squared, b squared, c squared, and if it was curved, and then here's the major issue where measuring accurately gets difficult when you're using a measuring wheel. Let's say you have a driveway that goes in with a single lane and then has a turnaround and it comes out. So it kind of looks like it kind of looks like a pin with a circle on the end, right? So you pull in, you drive, your house is here, you drive a circle. It looks like this ring light that's in front of me. The thing is, in order to make those turns with trucks, most of the time, one side gets flared out wider. So you'll go from 10 foot wide to 14 foot wide. And it's a slow kind of width. And then it comes back. And there's no way to accurately measure that expanding width with a measuring wheel. So when I would seal coat, I knew that my square footage, my area, was never exact, or not even close. Like, it was close, but it wasn't as close as I knew it should be, right? So once I was able to grab Moasure and be able to use one of my favorite features that I just love to do is go to the 3D rendering and just spin that thing, because I take my finger and I can just move it and I watch the driveway flip over or go this way. But when I get above it and it has the colored grid, I can see what I knew in my mind, that this was wider than it was there. And I can see that gradual turn and the gradual increase and then gradual decrease. So that was a pain point for me. What do you guys believe the biggest asphalt contractor pain point is that Moasure solves? Because even if Moasure wasn't a partner within the mix, and I think you guys would probably believe this too, if we had a moment for someone to explain it to us the way that it gets explained, we would, just as general men in construction, in the construction industry, would be like, whoa, this is awesome. It just happens to be that you all work for the company and I use it and we're partnered together. I would legitimately, genuinely be like, this thing is awesome. So what is the contractor pain point that Moasure solves? The biggest one, you think?
Something that we haven't mentioned, that just keeps coming up, and it's, again, comes down to this time and money saving, time again. A couple of the guys that I spoke to, sometimes what they do, a couple of days a week, they just go out and quote. That's what they do. They're going to go out and quote jobs. And as we've just been talking about the past 5 or 10 minutes, getting those measurements is sometimes somewhat impossible. Drawing them up takes time. And previously they were doing maybe getting 2 quotes in a morning, and that was all they could do. Now with Moasure, it's just quote, and you've got the whole afternoon free to go out and do all the other work, because you're saving so much time. And most importantly, you don't need to be drawing up. It's accurate and all these things. And I think it all adds up into just a really powerful tool for asphalt guys.
Do you remember those people we spoke to about when they used the dipstick to get the elevations of their trenches and the depths, and how long that was taking and painstaking? So they would get their dipstick and they would measure here and measure there, measure here and measure there, and go all the way along and write it down and scribble it down. And that's just a grind. Whereas with Moasure, you just you get a point there at the top, which is your datum, your monument, whatever you want to call it, and just go along, tap, gives you the information. It's all drawing out live. You've got your report. It's done in seconds. It's one person. You don't need a second person at all.
That's the thing.
So quick. And that's on the job. So you can use it pre-job, during the job, what's that called? Mid-job, post-job, whatever that's it as well. So over here, when they lay asphalt, sometimes the client will come to the contractor and go, there's no way that's the volume you've just laid down there on this surface.
Yeah.
And they'll get Moasure out and they'll just quickly, within minutes, measure it all out, show it to the client, going, well, there's your numbers. What are you going to do? You can't argue with that. It isn't black and white.
One of the biggest challenges in concrete work is control. Control over quality, control over timing, and control over cost. Cementech designs and delivers volumetric concrete mixers that are some of the most accurate and technologically advanced in the industry. Their equipment gives contractors real control over schedule, budget, and concrete quality, allowing crews to mix exactly what they need when they need it, without the waste and limitations of traditional barrel mixers. I've been in the same industry circles as cement tech for years, and I've interviewed contractors who run their equipment every day. It works, it delivers. If you want to learn more or to find a dealer near you, head to cementtech.com. Jamie and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about big civil projects, right? Because I was trying to figure out, I love a marketing challenge. And I'm like, okay, I love Moasure. I use it. Anybody who asks me, I'm honestly giving them my advice, my information, how we've been using it and whatnot. And then where I've been getting hesitation sometimes are large scale contractors that are doing things at a massive scale, especially like civil and municipal projects and whatnot. And Jamie and I were talking, we're like, well, yeah, maybe they are doing it traditionally and whatever way they were doing it and getting their first print. But how many change orders come through? How many lines get hit? How many places where they're like, oh, we need to patch this in here? And along the way, you could just simply be having your Moasure device with you and measuring these areas and immediately knowing, hey guys, call the radio and be like, hey, I need 2 ton over here. We got to fill around this manhole, right? We had to do this drain over here. So it does have its place on, at least in my opinion, on almost any project size.
100%. I mean, so the project we were talking about in the previous conversation, saw a company over in San Francisco, Bay Cities Paving, one of the largest civils companies in the US, all over the place, but huge projects in San Francisco, just outside of San Francisco, a large stretch of highway that they were working on. And exactly what you're talking about, Moasure was not being used to measure mile-long pieces of road that needs to have asphalt laid on it. Where it was being used was data reporting, working out how much had been measured each day or each hour, sending that straight off as a PDF back to the office, store it, done. And it's measuring done. It's measuring done. Measure, forget.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's stored in the project file.
It's stored. It's done. It's sent straight off to the guys back at the office.
You're not waiting for that to render. You're not setting it up to a cloud. You're not sending it to a design studio.
Nope.
It's an on-site measurement that's instantly translatable into an actionable digital file.
Absolutely.
And let's say you're under pressure. Let's say you're under a time crunch, right? Let's say you're right here in Nashville, right? And you're like, hey, we're supposed to do this project. And next thing you know, well, it's leaking back farther. We had to cut away more asphalt. We got to do this.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you're going to have somebody slow everything down and be like, okay, get their paper out and their pen and measure everything. And then they're going to go.
And pull somebody else off the job as well.
Even
to do that. Like 2 people.
You can just
fantastic.
You can just drop it. Let's say you have
it's
you have 8 expected patches, and then all of a sudden 4 unexpected ones come in. Rather than have to sit and write down the data, keep it in a file in your truck, and then take that physical file to somewhere, you can create the job on Jobber, create that file, and then just add the measurements in as you go. And at the end of the day, when you finally get to sit down, you have everything.
It's a streamlined process, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so streamlined. It reduces the need for additional personnel. It reduces repeated site visits. It reduces the amount of time. Error-prone manual processes are replaced by something it's automated precision in my world.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, one of the reasons why I think this is perfect for the asphalt industry is because when they came up with this, okay, first of all, it was dreamed up you just saw him, he walked by, the inventor has just walked right by us in his kitchen, but it wasn't necessarily dreamed up in a lab. One day they thought this would just be good for mapping out a back garden. But then the designer came along. Can you measure a shape within a shape? That's where layers came from.
Yeah.
Then more feedback. Would it be really good if it could just not do angles and straight lines? Could it do like irregular shapes? Oh yeah, sure. If it can do this, it can do that. And then the earth movers and the excavators, you guys came along. Well, can it do like volume? Could it do cut and fill? Can it do depth measuring? Can it do contours? We don't know what we have. Like, we're not contractors. We're not like out there and facing the challenges you guys do every day. But when people come back to us and tell us how they're pushing it to the limits, they're using it in ways that's never been done before, new workflows that's now simpler for jobs that once felt impossible, and it's saving them 90 minutes per job.
It's crazy.
And this is all the product. 90% of the product enhancements on this device are done from all of your real world feedback, and that's why we love to go out to you guys. We've a cool job. We get to hang out with you guys on your job sites.
Yeah.
Talk to you as we're talking to you now, or go out to you and face to face. And it doesn't matter how crazy your ideas are, or you're like, oh, what if Moasure could do this moments? We take them all on board.
That's it.
We give them back to the wizards or the engineers, and they'll do what they do, and they keep adding features to this non-stop.
I'll tell you how smart I feel. I'll be out measuring something, and then I'll be like, whoa, what if Moasure could do this? And I'll message Simon, and Simon's like, yeah, we already have that feature. Like, you just have to.
Yeah.
So as I'm encountering things, I'm thinking, oh man, if Moasure could do this would be great. Most times Simon's like, I was going to try to do your owl's accent, but I'm not going to do it. But he was like, Marvin,
Please do.
it already does that, right? So I think for me, I think people may have a preconceived notion that just because I love tech and the technology and the way, I just think it's awesome. I'm not that guy. I'm not so immersed that it's way complicated that I can't figure it out. Like I said, I still have calluses on my hands. People who catch me out on job projects, I still seal coat. You'll catch me looting asphalt. I still do all this stuff. That's where I came from. I didn't go from tech to that. So I don't really have this great initiative or this great power to be like, I can just adapt to anything. I'm literally what I consider like a Neanderthal contractor that has been able to figure this stuff out because companies like yourself make it easy for me. Now, there are other software companies and other softwares in the industry that I've not been able to digest. I just can't. It's too much and I can't digest it. And most of the time, it's a turn off for me. Barry, you did the turn on. It's a turn off for me. But Moasure hasn't been that. I think for me, it was really starting easy with square footage. And then once I figured out TraceLine, and then I figured out SkipLine, and then I figured out layers. It's like any other practice that you would have. You just get in there and start using it. And if you have a phone and you know how to use your phone, you can use Moasure.
Hey, look, Moasure's got some crazy features and it does some amazing things. But and I think you've emphasized there really well, is the basic features, like just capturing square footage.
Yeah.
They're easy to pick up. And then what you can do with that.
Within 10 minutes of getting this device, you could do what you just described.
And I think there's a thing, like, it's not just shooting numbers at me. If you watch any of my content, you'll see it on my screen, and that's the file. So when you send it over, it has this file, and then I can interact with the images on my phone and move in and slide stuff. And it what's it called? Annotate? Is that what it's called? Where I can
add the labels and
I can add the labels. Simon showed me. Simon had to one up me after I taught him everything that he knows.
Yeah.
So I'll give him credit for that one, I guess. But what about the files themselves? I think we should touch on that, even though that is a techie kind of thing. PDF, DXF, CSV, like what files come out of it? What am I going to get when I send one to myself or the office?
Raw measurement data, as soon as you stop, all of that raw measurement data you've captured with Moasure can be converted immediately into CSV, DXF, DWG files ready for CAD.
Okay.
So whether you're quoting for a job or sharing data with an architect or collaborating with an engineer, all of your measurements are exactly where they need to be. There's no more extra steps.
Yeah.
You can export that straight into CAD software like SketchUp Pro, AutoCAD, or whatever, and put it to work. You can even see it in 3D live on your phone.
That's
right
my
there.
favorite.
I know, it just when I do a measurement and I look at it and going, I feel like Picasso.
I guess that's my favorite result. Yeah.
Painter. It just looks awesome.
Yeah. I think that data, when it hits my brain and I'm standing there around everybody and I know more about this project than anybody does at that point, yeah. I got a power trip. I get a power trip. And I'm like, oh, heck yeah.
But when you take it out of the box, like you were describing, there's no fiddly bits.
No, it looked pretty simple.
There's no endless tutorials.
I thought it was a coaster for an espresso cup when I first got it.
Yeah, a pretty cool one. But there used to be a time where if you wanted to do advanced measurement technology or processes, you'd have to have a degree in how to use overly complicated tools.
Correct.
Like it was only wizards and engineers could do it, and that's just nonsense. So Moasure kind of flipped the script and made this technology accessible and simple, made it accessible to professionals, contractors, construction guys, even your local neighborhood DIY guru, where he could now map, measure, and plan at speed. And we're talking complex spaces here, and having 3D models within minutes of taking this out of a box.
If you're a subcontractor in the asphalt industry, you already know the deal. Slow pay, no communication, scopes that change, and getting squeezed on price after the job's done. Pavco National is different because they didn't start as a national company. They used to self-perform. They've been in the field. They've run crews. They dealt with the exact frustrations you deal with when working for other nationals. They built Pavco to be the company they wish they could have worked with. That means clear communication, fair contracts, and no games. They don't treat subs like placeholders. They treat them like partners because they've been on your side of the contract before. If you're ready to work with a national contractor that actually understands and respects your business, reach out to Pavco National. Email them at partners@pavco.com or call 866-PAVEMENT. Pavco National, making your life smoother. The green industry, lawn care, landscape, that's where I really get impressed because I don't do that, but my friends do that in the green industry. And they put together some awesome Moasure measurements and some awesome Moasure results that I'm able to see in some crazy projects, right? The asphalt, although it has its curves and whatnot here or there, it's not diverse as landscaping outlines and volumes and lifts and edits and whatnot. So I think we would be amiss if we didn't talk about adoption. Like if I don't have Moasure and then I say I want Moasure, I think there may be a misconception that people think that this is a difficult thing to adopt to your business, where it was nothing for me. I already used the quoting software. I just attached the file that Moasure gave me after I did my measuring to that so the client could see it, open it, and it would be there. I mean, that's essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, that's adoption of it, at least for me.
Yeah, that's a really good adoption with your company logo and everything on the PDF
Just
that you attach.
It's not difficult, right? The adoption of using it is not that difficult. So the next question then would be, we talk about what Moasure does. What can you guys give me any insight on like what is coming? Like what features more are going to be coming from Moasure? Do we have some? Are we really on our foundation now of like this is everything that we got here, or are there things coming down the pipeline? Because I get excited about that aspect of it. Once I think I know what something is, I get more excited about what's coming.
Well, when Moasure first came out, all I think it could do was just straight lines, and then it can do curves, swerves, it can do arcs, it can measure circles for whatever. Like from your part of the world, it's as wild as your imagination. There's no straight lines. Moasure can measure whatever the path is before it, and it keeps adding more and more features. People wanted the ability to throw a drone in the air, take an image or a Google Earth image or a blueprint and underlay it over your Moasure file. We've added that. We're always, I don't think we can talk about too much what's coming, but with this,
there are things coming.
There's filings.
We can't talk about, and we'd love to.
You better not get me in trouble and tell Marvin. I tell you what.
Hey,
I don't know when we're releasing.
If anybody makes Laura mad, if Laura gets mad, I'm blaming it on you guys. If Laura gets mad, I'm blaming it on you guys. I found like that's who I'm held accountable to, and I think everybody is.
I'll say this because I think this is it's going to be big. There is a feature.
The inventor's right there.
Yeah, I know. There is a feature that I would say, and I think you know what I'm talking about when I say this. Yeah. That every single time we go to a trade show,
everybody asks,
and we describe it. Somebody, existing customers will come up and say that. I almost said it. Then you almost got it out of me, Marvin.
Yeah.
They will say this thing, and possible new customers will suggest it as well.
I'll ask another question. The big buzzword.
I was practicing with this. I was testing this technology at the Space Center in Houston earlier this year.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll ask one question then that leads to it, because this is a big buzzword lately. Has there been conversations at Moasure about AI technology and how that would be part of something possibly coming in the future?
Well, you see, the thing is, Marvin, is that would you believe this technology is based on rocket guidance technology? Nobody has ever imagined
out of this world.
Never imagined or innovated that something like this could be done. There's been many companies, I don't think I'm allowed to say, but spent millions on research trying to make this happen. And no one thought it could be done. So it's already ahead of the curve. I know I can't talk about the AI or the algorithms or anything like that, because that's almost like the secret sauce that makes this work. However, being a tech front foot forward thinking company, there's a lot of the new technology wave that this has already been ahead of and will be utilizing going forward as well. Would you say that's a safe way of saying it?
I would say that's a safe way of saying it.
I'll tell you what I've done.
I know you're into, I've seen your AI stuff on your.
Fine, I'll tell you what
you're very into it.
All right, I'll tell you what I've done. So I've used Moasure to integrate with AI on my end. So what I'll do is most of the time I use Chat GPT, and my brother, he's in a similar field and whatnot. He prefers a different one, but I use Chat GPT, and I will give it everything. I'll give it my Moasure screenshots, measurements, everything. I'll give it my quote that I put together, the performance of services, where we're going to be. I have it analyze everything. And then I have it give me a project report, right? Of like, hey, this is what your expectations are. This is how you should address your team. So I integrate what challenges you should expect, what equipment you should have, all of these different types of things. So it's been an essential thing if you are a really forward tech kind of person, where you can add it to whatever you are already feeding into AI if you're using AI to assist you within your company.
I suppose the exports that you get are so data rich, right? You get so much information from.
Yes, and AI loves the data. AI loves the data. That's how they build things. It's where you get to the gray area where you say, I don't know. Then it's like, well, I need more information. But when you can feed it data rich information, it really works astoundingly.
This is why I love talking to you guys. You guys push it to the limits in ways that we never thought or imagined. Like at the moment, I know that the Swedish Olympic team are using it to map out slalom courses in the Alps or the mountains somewhere for time trials. We know that NASA are using it for blast pads. I know that there's customers out there who do lunar observations that won't give as much information back for obvious reasons. I spoke to one person who recently, what he does is that he using AI designed a whole grand design. He asked AI to, and he used that, and he took that design and he asked it, can you put it into CSV points that I can put into Moasure? And then when he put it into Moasure, he used Moasure to stake out, lay out that grand design on a job site that he was doing.
Wow.
He couldn't believe it. That would have been a job, in his words, that would have taken him months.
Yeah.
And it took him an hour with Moasure and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even think or comprehend. Like I'm just a farmer boy, dung and boots farmer boy from the middle of nowhere in Ireland. The height of technology for me growing up is the massive Ferguson tractor and the scythe. This is just beyond my wildest dreams what people are doing with it.
I was telling somebody that all the data that I put into ChatGPT to then talk to clients, I'm like, it makes me sound like a genius when I'm explaining something to a client or a project or anything like that, or even.
But it's what sets you out from the competition, Marvin, doesn't it?
And that's where the other guy said that. He said, Marvin, you are a genius for doing that. Like that I wouldn't have thought of that. Sometimes this industry gives us more than a paycheck. It gives us the chance to give back. Dream On 3 creates custom sports dreams for children living with life-altering medical conditions. Moments that give families hope, joy, and memories that last a lifetime. This isn't about attention or headlines. It's about showing up for kids and families during some of the hardest moments of their lives. We believe in the mission of Dream On 3, and we're proud to support and help raise awareness for the work they're doing. To learn more, visit dreamon3.org and follow them on Instagram at dream_on_3. I want you to give some advice for contractors. What would be a common rookie mistake that asphalt contractors should avoid if they're using Moasure? Like what would be something? Because I had to send over my data from my measurements right away to you guys, and I got critiqued promptly and professionally. But I feel like if they didn't have that resource that I had with all of you right away, maybe they would be like, I don't know about this thing. But so it was really just some mistakes on my end. that I didn't quite know yet. I thought this is good enough, and it wasn't good enough. What are some common rookie mistakes that you see?
Not spending 10 minutes just looking at the onboarding video can make such a big difference. There's just 3 simple rules. Remember, this is a technology that's never been dreamed of or imagined before. You can drive a car, right, or a pickup or whatever, but when you want to jump into an Indy car or a Formula One car, we all think we can drive that thing,
Yeah.
but it takes a little bit of adjustment. We can't do it straight away. We're not going to be Mario Andretti or Lewis Hamilton or whatever our way, kind of a thing. So taking that 10 minutes to just spend looking at the onboarding video is going to mean that you're 90% along the way or even further in measuring. And if you're stuck, we have the best pit crew that you could imagine, our customer service team. These guys aren't stuck behind computers or phones. They're out on the job site, just like Jamie and myself. They're at trade shows. They're using Moasure. They're meeting you guys, you men and women for real. So when you ring them up, it turns them on to use your phrase.
It doesn't
To help you. They will jump on a video call with you, and within minutes, you might think this is so complicated it can never be sorted. Man, there's nothing that we've seen that our pit crew here, Julian and all the guys, Joe and Lucas and Elise, call them, you know, and they'll show you. That would be the biggest mistake, is just not looking at that 10-minute tutorial video, or not calling our support line.
Not exercising.
And the other thing is, we've endless tutorials. I know I said endless tutorials earlier on, but we have a tutorial for every practical case study you could use, and you've worked on quite a lot of them, Jim, if you wanted to mention some.
Literally search, how do I do this with Moasure? Probably got a video for it. We've got Simon, Barry, one of the other guys, customers out in the field actually showing how to use it.
Oh, yeah.
There's tutorials for absolutely everything. And so you'll be able to find
I might even pop up on there now.
Yeah.
Most likely.
We've a lot of fanboys and fangirls who've like made videos. They love Moasure so much out of their own volition. They're making videos. Like there's a guy in New Zealand, Michael Randall. He uses photogrammetry and drones and all sorts of like high-tech wizardry, point clouds. He picked up Moasure and he dovetails this into his workflow process, and for free does tutorials online to help people to use it with that kind of software. He used to use software and technology that cost thousands of dollars in subscriptions a month. This replaces it.
Yeah.
So people like him and many more, and yourself, Marvin, I've seen some of your videos. In fact, I'm kind of worried. The minute I saw you doing a video, I was immediately updating my CV. I was slightly worried about my job, to be honest. So check out Marvin Joel's Moasure tutorial videos.
I mean, Marvin, you've experienced first time, right? You've seen how easy it is for us to call up Moasure. You've got a problem. It's answered in 5-10 minutes, right? It's problem solved.
You know what? Most of the time, it's something that I overlooked in the video. And so for me, when I was having struggles right away, I just really needed to go back and watch the videos again. It was something I didn't pick up, or we have a problem here in the US, maybe everywhere in the world, of just going way too fast, trying to get to the finish line without actually going through the course to get there. And I feel like probably that's what I did right away. I just was like, well, I'm paying for this thing. It should just do it. And that's not the way it works with anything. My paver doesn't do that. My paving machine doesn't do that. I have to work it. And once I was able to do that, it took care of it. So I think the biggest rookie mistake is like, slow down, watch the video. If it doesn't click, watch it again. It's just too valuable.
You're going to save hours with this tool. So just spend one of those hours learning how to use it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and you're going to be so close to where you need to be in order to get the results that you want. I've seen technology come into our industry, and 95% of the industry go, to heck with it. And then I watch 5%, some really specific companies adapt that technology and skyrocket. They literally dominate their market. They make millions and millions of dollars when before they were just somebody else. It's just way too critical. Technology is way too critical at a spark of success to not adapt and take it on. Moasure's been super simple for me now. If you would have asked me after that first run, I'd been like, it's a little tough. After 3 or 4 times, I'm like, it's way easy. It's so easy that I can hand it to my son and be like, hey, hold this straight, move slow, be smooth, and follow this area along the edge. When we get done, you're going to have something really good.
Marvin, we're at the forefront of the industry and adopting technology into the industry, right? Would you agree, Moasure, with its simplicity and how easy it is to use, is probably a good entry level tool to start. If you want to introduce tech into your quite old school business, maybe Moasure is that starting point.
What? If somebody came up and they're like, hey, I want to be a project estimator, I've never measured anything before, I wouldn't let them touch any of the old tools. I would just hand them Moasure. Like, this is how you do it. They don't have to unlearn anything. They don't have to have a belief in something that, in my mind, we're not going to be touching those tools in 10 years. Like, nobody. Listen.
Can I ask you, Marvin, what's the craziest, wildest job site that you've ever used Moasure on?
That paving project this year was pretty crazy. What it was an old farmhouse that somebody had built on a hillside in Wisconsin, way out in the country, and it had been there for 100 years or so. And that driveway wasn't switchbacked; it went straight up. Wiped that out. They renovated the house, put millions in, and they switched back up to the house. But they have a lot of equipment. They use it for wild game hunting, so whitetail deer, stuff like that. So they would bring trailers and different stuff in, and they would have to pull up the driveway, which was steep and rugged, and then have to back down. They were having a lot of struggles. So when they renovated, they wanted to make that turn. And that turn, to me, I was just like, I don't think we're going to be able to pave this. It's going to be too steep. They don't want to take enough of the hill out. They would have had to take a lot of the hill out and put a rock face there to make it level. And it was just going to be way too much. When I measured and was like, I think if I can get an excavation company to cut a foot out of this hill, I can get the grade that this Weiler paver will run on. And that was the first time I needed to use the layer feature as well. I wouldn't have been able to do it, guys. I'm going to be flat out honest with anybody listening. I love to consider myself a professional. I wouldn't have been able to do it. What I needed was somebody who knew how to engineer something, shoot grade, and likely a mathematician to figure all this stuff out. And I'm not that. I'm just a contractor, right? So I don't have that plethora of knowledge, but I didn't need it. I honestly didn't need it and I had to learn how to use some of those features mid-job. I told you guys, I called Simon, right? And was like, hey, I need help. But when I was done, I was like, this is preposterous that I was able to do this and figure this all out and give it the go ahead, and likely saved myself a lot of headache, time, and money and manpower with what I'd known. And it was the basic stuff that you guys have seen in my videos, me measuring parking lots for seal coating and driveways for paving. And I was able to pull it off with that thing. So that would be fun.
And how would you have how would you have measured that before you used Moasure? Would you have even been able to?
I would have tried with a measuring wheel, but it probably, once I realized that I was going to have to shoot grade on it, I probably would have just bailed on the project, to be honest. I'd have been like, yeah.
You made money, you saved. How long did it take you to measure all that out in Moasure, bearing in mind that you've got like distances, elevations, volume calculations, and so forth?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah, it took longer for me to get Simon on. It took longer for me to get Simon to message me back than anything.
Yeah, we'll get on to Simon about that.
Yeah, don't forget. Well, it was at night. It was probably at like 1 o'clock in the morning on your guys' team.
No, he should do his job. We'll be on
stay awake. That's why you guys have tea. Caffeine to keep him awake.
We've got technology to keep him awake. We need to sort that out.
I thought he was AI. When I met him in real life, I thought he was AI. I thought he was.
Yeah. He definitely is a glitch in the algorithm.
For sure. Marvin, don't forget as well, that 15-minute measurement, that's the measurement. There's no drawing after that. That's even better, right? One of the guys that I saw out in the field was, he said, not only does it save me half an hour on the measuring, you then have to go and spend an hour drawing it up, doing math, doing calculations, doing everything he needs to do to maybe get a kind of accurate draw. Now it takes half the amount of time, and he is done. And that's,
you know what I did, Jamie? I took the screenshot and I took the file and I sent it first to the client, then I sent it to the excavator, and then I sent it to the paver. And I was like, can we do this? I had responses almost immediately. Yep, we can take that out. Yep, we can pave this one if the grade is this. And I was like, this is what it would look like. And they were like, okay, yeah, sounds good.
That's really interesting, actually, is that you're now collaborating with all of these different contractors, because Moasure allows you to visualize.
They have to come
very
out.
clear. You don't have to explain it. It's just visualized. Like when you talked about earlier when you did that measurement and you flipped it over to use the 3D model or the surface area, not only can you see the grades, but you can see all the different colors, which I think red is the highest and blue is the lowest.
Blue's the
So
low
you
point.
can see when the heavens open, which way the rain is going to flow. So if you're sending that off to all of your different colleagues, they can immediately visualize what they need to do and if it's possible or not. It makes the communication effortless.
There's another feature that we used on that project, and that was as we were paving, when we would get done with a pole, I would measure it with Moasure and see which way the water was running with the asphalt we just laid. As we were going, I was checking the pitch and making sure the water was going where we were supposed to go. Now, you can do that with the base preparation too. When everything was set and the base was there, I measured just so that I could make sure the base, if that was asphalt, the water would flow. Essentially, if we lay 3 inches of asphalt everywhere at that depth, it would just follow that contour. I double checked because it gets tricky sometimes when you're moving a paver, which is a fixed horizontal machine, and you drop more asphalt here, more asphalt there. So I went back and double checked the quality of what we were doing. And
elevation. There's a little bit. I mean, the drainage is one thing, and the other thing that we found all the time, ADA ramps. The ADA ramps make sure those are compliant is fantastic, right? Because we had one of the jobs we went to go and see in Sacramento. They were doing in the suburbs 4 new ADA ramps on every corner of every junction in this entire suburb. So there was something like 80 ADA ramps that were getting done. And previously they said they got the QS that comes out and measures to make sure the grade is correct on each of those ramps. He normally gets back to the office about 2 hours after everybody else does. Guy now with the Moasure, he says he now stands there waiting for to hurry up, lay the asphalt, get it down, get the concrete curbs back in. Come on, hurry up! I'm waiting here for them because he can just tap, done. PDF, send off, next. PDF, send next. And it's that was an awesome story because he said he does managed to do about 80 Moasure measurements in a day, which normally would take him 3 or 4 times longer.
Which means he's a lot of time for those espresso, tonic water, coffees we talk about in between. Right, that guy's living the life, isn't he?
It took longer for me to talk to you guys about Moasure than I've used Moasure, this whole summer, and I've done a lot of projects.
Baby talks a lot. Sorry about him.
Yeah, he does. I know. It's hard to get off the phone sometimes. So this is the thing. I think if someone's listened to this podcast, it's pretty easy to see that I'm not trying to sell Moasure, right? And I don't think you all are either. It happens to be our job in where we're at, what we're doing. But if I wasn't affiliated with Moasure, I would still be just as excited. If you guys were contractors and I was talking to you, I'd be telling you the same things that I've been saying. It's just a very cool thing to see what you all are doing. I appreciate what resources you all have built with the information, the content you've created, coming out here to the United States, talking with our contractors and making sure that we're developing something that we can trust. Because here's the thing, if I send a file to somebody, I can't unsend that file, right? That's my integrity going along with that. And Moasure has done a great job. My confidence in Moasure has grew astoundingly because of what I've been able to measure. And I've been able to go back on square pads and remeasure with the old tools. And it's close enough that it gives me confidence to throw those to the side. And if I have my Moasure stick in the back of my truck, which is always with me, which I get complaints about my wife that it's in there. It doesn't take up much space. I don't really know why she's complaining. But in the meantime, it has given me confidence and it has created excitement because I know that it's freed up time for me to do something else with my time and separate me from who I was, which was just a contractor that didn't have this really defined and refined quote before to send to a client that now in my mind looks less professional because if somebody else is coming with Moasure, I better be coming with Moasure. I just can't explain the appreciation that I have for what you all have added to our industry to help push technology forward in it because it's what keeps things exciting and gets young people excited about coming and working in the asphalt industries. They get to do cool stuff like you all are doing.
We want to make things as efficient as possible for everybody. And that's what we're here for, saving time and money for everybody from small contractors to large civil construction companies is what we're here for, right?
Where do we find more information? I know I can go out and check Barry's videos wherever I want to if I type those things in, but where do we find out more information about Moasure? You all are almost at I think you guys are at a show in Nashville this week from what I hear, There's a technology training one, but
Yeah, I think that's Chloe and
maybe not. I don't want you guys to confirm or
We're
deny,
everywhere.
but you're
We're
all
everywhere.
everywhere. So if you're at a show, I would be hard pressed to believe that if you give somebody 10 minutes at a Moasure booth, you're not going to figure out how to use that thing. Like you're going to figure it out in that amount of time. So
Look, you said earlier, Marvin, we're not here to sell the product, right?
Yeah.
We explain what it does. We explain what the product does, and it sells itself. It really, really does.
Yeah, we're not the last thing we are as salespeople, but there's something about as a tradesperson, like something about the right tool in the right hands for the right job. Oh man, there's just a flow. There's harmony to that, and it's great. And so we don't have to sell it. It does all of the heavy lifting itself.
100%.
We just make sure we don't trip over each other when we're on that stand. But
well, I'm going to give everybody a link below here in the podcast description where they can go over and check Moasure out. And my biggest thing is to go to YouTube, go to Google, type in Moasure, and follow some videos. Check them out over there. I actually enjoy following you all personally on LinkedIn. So whether it's Jamie or Barry or Simon's posts are okay, I guess. You gotta help him out. He needs to get that social media brush up. But I'm just playing Simon. I enjoy what you all are putting out on social. So we can follow you all there, correct?
Yeah. Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, Facebook, and Moasure.com will be there. Content all the time. You'll see stuff about what we're doing behind the scenes, what we're doing, new features. It's all there.
Cool. All right. Well, for you all over across the pond, for myself here in not quite tropical Nashville, it's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Reminder.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Reminder to everybody, you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch it on YouTube. And if you go to inthemixmj.com, you'll be prompted right away to sign up for our newsletter. I'm probably going to be writing an article about Moasure and how we use it. You guys can check it out in our newsletter. Subscribe to that newsletter so you don't miss my monthly articles that come out talking about what is going on within the asphalt industry. Please hop over to our bio on social media and click that thing, scroll down, find your Moasure device, order yourself one. I promise you won't regret it. You spent more on lattes this summer than what it would be for this Moasure device collectively. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.